Welcome to your Legacy Stories podcast. I am your host, Natalie McQueen. I help people from all walks of life to create, live, and preserve their legacy for future generations to enjoy. I became a legacy designer after a near-death experience that made me completely reevaluate the legacy I was leaving for this world. I'm also a book publisher who has guided over 400 authors to become international bestsellers. My mission is to help you craft the legacy you deserve, encourage you to live it to the fullest, and then preserve it for future generations to continue to enjoy. On this show, my guests share moments of purpose, gratitude, wisdom, and tradition, and of course, their legacy stories. Today, I'm here with Robert W. Jones, the founder and owner of the iNETrepreneur Network. He is an international bestselling author, a radio show host, and speaker. He's also the leader behind the Art of Connection book series. Please help me welcome Robert W. Jones.
Wow, thank you, Natalie. I appreciate being on your show today. And I know it's like a crazy, isn't it? It's iNETrepreneur Network. And
it's a tongue twister.
I know. One of the things I've always found is just make up the name and then you'll call it yours because everyone else will be afraid to, take the name themselves. So, thank you for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. Well, today I'm really excited. First of all, why don't we start with your background? Share a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, I was a real shy kid. And so to be in the book publishing business, the stage business, and to help people like design programs for training and education, it's amazing that I'm here today. But I'm a Marine. I'd like to say that I'm a lifelong Marine. I served 6 years. And then after that, I did 2 church missions and I started getting into programming. Programming was kind of a love of mine early on. So I say I'm a recovering programmer, but here I am, learning the power of my voice. And that's how I help people, through getting them on stages into book pages like the Art of Connection book series.
Absolutely. And thank you for your support and your time in the military. I know that that's a big part of your love and passion. And I know that there's some really big projects that are coming up that will make such a difference there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me about how this whole book idea of the Art of Connection came about.
Well, it was really crazy. We had a very large organization here in the Phoenix area, and we were sprouting out in about, I think we had 5 different states that we had different entrepreneurial meetings in. And then all of a sudden COVID came, and I'm have my office, I'm at Regis, and I couldn't get into Regis because they had to do all these COVID cleanses. And the 4th time after the COVID cleanses, there was like a fire on top of the building and I had to move to my home office. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I am not one who works well out of a home office. I love being in an office environment. So one day, my son, he was 13 at the time, he comes across, and this is one of 2 sons. He came across the table and he goes, Dad, you old people have it all wrong. I'm like, what? Out of the mouth of kids, right?
Right.
And I'm like, he got me attention. I'm like, what do you mean, Troy? What do us old people have all wrong? He's like, well, it seems like when the old people talk about legacy, it's like you always talk about stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's like, shouldn't you talk about knowledge? Because they can always take your stuff, but they just can't take your knowledge.
Absolutely. Smart boy, for sure.
And I thought about that. And then one day I was just like, well, maybe we have knowledge, we have all these quotes, and we have, a bunch of thoughts from our entrepreneurial meetings over the years. Why don't I just make a book out of it? And that's where it kind of started. This whole series, Natalie, was just, a bunch of quotes from the networking group, with thoughts that we could muse on in our chapter meetings.
Right. So who is the book really intended for?
It's still intended for the entrepreneurs, the business owners, and the influencer. It's really a way to get them a leg up on other people that they compete against. I'm all about, conversation starters. So if
Right.
you can say that you're an international best-selling author, if you can say that you're in the Library of Congress, if you can say, oh my gosh, I'm a part of an award-winning book, and not only that, a community,
Yeah,
people listen to that. And you can put it on your
absolutely.
profile, you can put it in your, on your email signature, you can stand up and talk about it in any room. And it's just a great conversation starter. That's one point. But I've also found that speakers, other authors, even students are loving this book, The Art of Connection. In fact, our youngest author is 11 years old and our
That's
oldest
so
author
cool.
is 82. So, if there's a 10-year-old or a
Yeah,
9-year-old out there, let's beat that record. And I'm looking for some
exactly.
centenarians, Natalie, so maybe we can get some
Well,
centenarians in the book.
maybe I can get my grandma who just turned 104 to
Oh,
write.
that would be great. She would
Wouldn't that
break
be
the
amazing?
record. So it really has turned out to be anyone who just wants to make a difference in this world and leave a legacy for others who go through the book and read it for themselves.
Right. So I know a little bit about this answer, but I want to hear it from you. So why would a business owner or an entrepreneur, influencer, what benefit is it to be a part of this book? How does it help them?
In addition to, and this is a really great question, because in addition to all the accolades that they can say, it really creates a purposeful pause in their life where they can sit and they can reflect and they can say, in my life, what have I learned?
Right.
What can I contribute to this world? But here's the difference. It's not just the quote that they may live by. They get to keep it in their context. And what does that mean in their thought? It means it's like, did I overcome something?
Right.
Did a mentor help me out? Did I find my love and passion? Did I kick the corporate life and become an entrepreneur so I can
Right.
serve others on my terms? And that purposeful pause has created a space where people come back and they say, Robert, it was only one page, but it actually made me reflect on a lifetime. And now
Yeah,
I get to express my lifetime to the world for others to learn from what I've been through.
absolutely. What I really love about it is, you see someone as, the real estate agent or the small business person doing this or that, and you see them in their mode, and you don't really get to know their heart. And your books have had such great, gratitude is coming up, and then you've had, um,
Yeah,
the first one,
transformation,
well,
inspiration.
transformation, yeah, was the
Yeah.
last one. So you get to see that part of them, and like you said, find out that they've gone through something,
Mhm.
and sometimes, like myself, that something led them to their new career or their way of talking. And um it just makes that person jump off the page and be real, so you see a different side of them.
Well, and this is what's so crazy about, first time authors. You can never give experience to someone. They have to experience it themselves. And
Mm.
what I have found is when that 2.1 pound book comes in the mail, and I know a
Yeah.
2.1 pound book. I mean, it's like a big book. I mean,
Yeah.
let me pick it up here. I mean, that is a substantial book.
Yep.
And when they open like the FedEx package or whatever it comes in, and then they grab it and then they lift it, and all of a sudden they look for their page, all of a
Mhm.
sudden they've changed. They went from being a person who's never been published before to being in a world-class book, and it
Yeah.
affects them, and it affects them positively. And more often than not, I get calls and emails, expressing such gratitude. It's like one of those things where it's like, why didn't I do this before?
Right.
I mean, and then all of a sudden they get this burn to say, what, if I can do this book, I can do another book, and then I
Right.
can even do my own book. And I think that that's what's so
Oh yeah.
spectacular about it, because it's like the marathon runners putting those shoes on for the first time,
Yeah.
once they did that, and then they started running and running and running, and all of a sudden you get this real spark to say, you know what, my words do matter, and I'm with a community that matters to me, and I matter to them. And I think that that's another special attribute or aspect of the Art of Connecting
Yes,
community.
I agree. You really bring, you don't just say, oh, give me your payment, give me your quote, you're done. You really bring them in, you love on them, you make them a part of the community. And I know that many business relationships, many friendships
Mhm.
have come out of this book
Yeah. I mean,
or the books.
and people come back to me and they're like, they're, you know, Entrepreneur Magazine and Forbes Magazine have been coming out, and they're saying that the collaborative books are the networking groups of the future.
Yeah.
And I had to really look at that, Natalie, and I'm like, collaborative books, networking groups of the future. And so what they said is books create a space where people are tethered together. So if
Mhm.
it's a heart-centered, like-minded community, you're going to have other centered, like-minded entrepreneurs,
Yes.
business owners, influencers, authors, speakers, writers, etc. And what happens is we all come from the same, I guess, place. And when
Right.
you come from the same place, you can't help but want to not only share with each other, but to help each other. And everything isn't a burden. It really is just the ability of saying, being able to utilize your gifts.
Yeah.
And that tethering is like anyone can come and go to a networking group, but to actually go through the process of writing that page and
Yeah.
publish together, it's
And
like,
promote. It's like you're on
yeah.
the team. You made the team.
Absolutely. It's like it gives you something that you've done forever. And like
Yeah.
for me, it's almost like being in the United States Marines again. It's like we're creating, our own community that does nothing but help one another. And I think
Yeah.
that that's what's great about it. And even people who've done, they've been in the book, like the first book, and they might have gone away through a couple of books. They also come back and they're like, oh my goodness, it's
Yeah.
grown and there's new faces. And, they just get excited about being around people who have that same vision of helping others. And that's
Yeah.
what I love about this community and the people in the book.
I agree. And I feel the same way about compilation books. That's where I got started. I would have never jumped into writing my own book. And I was kind of coerced to do it. And I was like, I don't know. And then now I can't tell you how many people, how many friendships, how many business partners, how many, unique people that I've got to learn from
Mhm.
in being different books. One of the books, every book sold helps animals in 3 countries, the US, Canada, and Mexico. So, I mean, how many chances do you get to do such different things, different subjects that you believe in, and to be a part of that different group that's moving forward?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because it's, this is why I love just getting to talk and work with you.
Yeah.
It's just amazing because, what I found, people ask me, as well, what does this book provide? And quite frankly, what I found is it provides hope, inspiration, and support for others. And it does it one page at a time. I mean, in
Yeah.
fact, so much that even students across the nation, both in college and high school, are picking up this book and they're calling it a social media in a book. And
Right.
kids that wouldn't read books before are actually reading all these pages, and teachers are going like, oh my goodness, my students are reading 20, 30 pages because it's consumable for them. They're getting all this information from all this diversity, and these ideas and these expressions and these stories and these like just mic drop of like
Yeah.
pop rocks, as one of our friends says. And that's what it's really about. And then you and I have found that authors are like they get in one book and they want to be in another book and another book and another book.
Absolutely.
And what we're finding is they're also journaling their story.
Yep.
And they're journaling their story in this book that's a part about all of us. We're not apart from the world. We are a part of the world, and we get to share this together.
Absolutely. So one thing that I have found, well, I've been to two different groups and they use a page, an author page, and they read it in the networking group. So there's exposure for that author in like a different city, a different, like who knows how many people are doing this in different cities. And I know another lady that is using it for her social media content. So she's like, okay, let's put some love on this person. And she reads their quote, gives them kudos, sends them, says their contact information. And you may have a client just say, I just heard your quote. I'm looking for that kind of a,
Yeah,
you never know.
it is amazing, and it allows an expression of depth that sometimes we just don't get otherwise. And I think that that's what's so incredible about it too. And and really, you might ask me, so what am I doing now? And it's like I want more people. I want more people to be a part of this wonderful community. I want more people to read your page in the book. I want more people to come to our literary classes and to attend our summits and get to meet the other people from 20 different countries all around this world. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it didn't start out to be this movement. It really just started out because people were suffering because of COVID. And I just wanted something to help express, our feelings and our wisdom and, and really our love, for others who are just wanting to get by, to get into the point of, accelerating themselves in their business. And, and I'm seeing that happen, and it happens, one page at a time, which is just amazing to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that I feel the same way. So have you been in a compilation book before?
The only compilation books that I've been in, and this might be partly what feeds me, Natalie, is my first love really is poetry. And I love writing poetry. I have stacks of poetry, and in the 90s, and I wish I knew where these books were. I was published as a poet, and then there was this, like, and I hate giving away my age here, but it's like this 30-year gap, and then all of a sudden this opportunity, which was really initiated by the idea of my son in a way, came about, and then here came this book. But let me tell you that the book isn't an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of work and effort.
Oh yeah.
To 300 to 320 people do anything. But
Right.
but at the
I think the term chasing cats.
yes, that there's a new term that I come up with called chasing authors. So
Yeah, exactly.
but the result is amazing.
It is.
And again, it's amazing for those that read it. It's amazing for those that write it. And it's for me, it's amazing just to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree. I love everything about it. I can't say enough about the quality of people that this book brings out to share.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree that a compilation book, there's so many benefits alone, but not all compilation books are made the same. And you take that level, not only in number of people,
Yeah.
but the concept of bringing people together, really loving on the community and getting them to feel a part of the community. And then putting on classes. Here's something that's very unique. I know when the very first time I was like, you want me to write my own quote? Like I had my top 3 quotes all picked, and then I'm like, it has to be my quote. I've never written a quote before. And then learning from you, learning, with writing and stuff, it's like, oh, we could pop out quotes all day long, especially going through the different subjects. But who doesn't know about gratitude? Who does not have a story that they can share? And we talk about this in our classes often. If you've got that story, that's your main part, then you can work backwards to the quote. And that's what I like to do.
And again, I'm glad you brought that up, because what I've also found is people being that they don't take that pause, they don't sometimes just stop to celebrate.
Mhm.
And, we celebrate a lot of things in our lives, but how often do we actually celebrate our own life?
Right.
And many times it's not enough. And, so often we talk about self-care, but isn't celebrating your own thoughts, your own pursuits, your own achievements, your own claim to fame, isn't that something as well? And what I found is once people start writing a quote that they live by for themselves, all of a sudden, like you said, another quote comes in, another quote comes in.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they start looking at themselves and they're like, you know, I have so much more to me,
To
and I
share.
haven't even taken the time to stop to see that is me as well. And
Yeah.
I've been so busy working on, what I do, this is like a little place to stop to work on who I am,
Mhm.
in a way for me to give back, some of my gifts through thought to the world, to others.
Right. And, you do your author circles, which is such a beautiful time for non-authors. A lot of these
Yeah.
people are first-time authors to
Yeah,
come in and share their thoughts and even share what they've written to get some
absolutely.
feedback and that makes the whole scenario, the whole scariness, taken away.
It goes away. And, absolutely, because, the thing is I like to say this in a lot of different ways, but, we provide a place where authors can go, or potential authors can go, so they can grow.
Right.
And we do it in a safe environment. And we, if it's not a class and it's in that safe space, we do not record those meetings because we want them to know what is said in there, and the help that's received stays there. And
Right.
and I think a lot of people, they really appreciate that,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I don't think there's any stupid question, but we also want to make sure that they don't feel like they, ask that stupid question. And that's
Right.
also what makes it such a wonderful place, is because people are open to be vulnerable, and we help them just develop that strength and say, hey, we're
Right.
glad you asked that question, and
Yep.
we are glad to help.
And we've got amazing editors and a lot of people to help
Oh
and
yeah.
so,
Yeah, it is definitely a team that takes it all
right.
together. But yeah, I mean, this is great. I love getting to talk to you about this stuff. This is wonderful. I mean, like I said, please, if anyone's watching at this point, please be a part of this,
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
come join us.
So here's a question for you. So we're on book number 4,
Mhm.
which is gratitude, 365 days of gratitude quotes. So what have you learned along the way?
Gosh, I mean, that could give you like 40 things, but I think the thing that I've learned most is no matter what, it is a part of my life, not my life. And it's still knowing that I'm still a dad, I'm still a husband, I'm still a son. And sometimes it's such a big project, it consumes me.
Right,
But what I found is um, and this is true with a lot of entrepreneurs, the words that I'm reading affect me. And it's like nice to be working on something that actually reminds me, to take care of myself, and
right,
to take that time off, and know that it in a way, it's like out of your hands. It's out of your control, and what will be, and that's okay too. So,
right,
just keep doing your business. And I think that the other thing that I found too is if you ask, people more often than not will say, you know what, I am here to help. And
right.
it is really amazing to me, that powerful little word, ask.
Mhm.
And that's something I never knew before, because Natalie, as a Marine, we are trained to do it all ourselves. And
Exactly. And
and
don't show that you're hurt or
you
need.
know you you know
Yeah.
you have a mission,
Mhm.
and you get that mission accomplished, and you just dig in deeper. But you know what, when you're in a community, you need to remember, it's like, it's community based. And
Right.
it reminds me of one of my quotes. I said, I say this a lot. You've heard me say this before. I said, when I was young, it was all about winning. But when you win, there's only one.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, it's all about succeeding, because with succeeding, you can take everyone.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, I love legacy and talk about legacy. And this is a book series that will definitely be in your legacy. But let me ask you a couple legacy questions.
Okay. Yeah.
So, what is the most unique thing on your legacy list, which is like your bucket list of legacy? And have you achieved it yet?
No, I haven't. My actual bucket list of legacy is getting to the point where I can be in the place that I always thought I would be in, and that was being able to write and poetry, and be able to live in the space of just giving back to others. And that is really the place that I want to be. And part of that giving back is creating a place where other business owners, influencers, and entrepreneurs can come, and we help other entrepreneurs by creating poetry prose. And
Nice.
through this poetry prose, people can like learn things through just like little poems, that they can remember, that are cool, almost like jingles. And they get something out of it that they can enact right then. And then of course, just being that crazy poet. And I haven't gotten there yet. And so I am moving there. So I'm trying to combine poetry of the past with collaboration books of the future, and get to this place so I can live on a mountain and look like Father Time. So that's something I'm looking at achieving one of these.
Yeah, I don't think Sean's gonna let that
I
happen.
know. I don't know if she's like the Father Time look. She might like living in the mountains, but I don't know
Right.
about the Father Time look.
That's good. Okay, well, I do know your family and I know you have a fun family. So what is your family's craziest tradition?
I think our craziest tradition right now has started happening in the last year, and that is making crazy meals. And so
Oh,
it's like going out and buying like vegetables and fruits that we never even knew existed, and
nice.
even sometimes getting I mean, I didn't even know there was this many grains and beans and all this other
Right.
stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
And creating meals like we're on the show Chopped, and
Yeah.
figuring out if these combinations are going to actually,
Oh, that's so
yeah,
fun.
like make the family happy. So we're in the kitchen and we're buying all this stuff, and we've had big fruits and little fruits, and
Yeah.
different vegetables and stuff like that. And so we're really just experimenting on just creating a very varied diet. And so we get the kids involved in all of this, and sometimes they really look at Sean and I like, really, you bought that? Really, this is what we're
Right.
going to work with? But it's just a way of like kind of experiencing culture through foods.
I love that because don't you always look at like AJ's? I'll go into AJ's and I kind of look and go, they have some really unique stuff. But then you
Yeah.
just keep walking because you don't know what to do with it. So this is
Yeah,
yeah.
and that is totally what we do. And so AJ's is a place we go, but then there's also like we've gone to this place even called Lily's. And so for us, it's kind of like an
Yeah,
international marketplace with all these foods.
that would,
So
and
they
it's
have,
probably not even in English on some of the.
yeah, so it's like foods from Africa, and foods
Oh,
from the
wow.
Middle East, and foods
Yeah.
from Asia. And it's like I said, and then we're Googling, and it's like, okay, what do we do with this stuff, and what's going to go with it, and what type of spices, and how long do I cook it? And believe me, we've had to do a little of the DoorDash thing a couple of times, but
Right. I
overall,
was just gonna say,
yeah.
have you ever been scared to eat something?
Well, since it's usually, since pretty much all fruits and vegetables,
Okay.
like I said, I mean, it's not like, meat or anything like
Yeah.
a cow intestine, or something
Oh,
really,
yeah.
something different like that. So we haven't gone that direction. We're
Good.
just keeping it, more safe, more vegetarian, vegan oriented,
I
but
love it.
still, it actually, it causes both a lot of like interest and awareness and kind of like some family cohesion by doing it.
That's amazing. I love that. I think I may have to bring that tradition into our family, because I could see some, yeah, but they would probably want to bring the meat in, and I'm like with you guys.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
without it.
Right. So I still like the jackfruit, and it's just all this
Oh, I love jackfruit.
I
Yeah.
didn't know about, like, and so
Huge. It's,
I
yeah,
know, and so it's like we're again, we're just trying all these different things that we've never done before, and some of them they look on one way on the outside, and you cut them in, they're like, wow, that one it has polka dots inside. I would never
right.
guessed.
That's awesome. Well, let's circle back to the book one more time.
Absolutely, yeah.
If an author wants to, or an author, business owner, entrepreneur, influencer wants to be a part of this book, how can they do that?
I mean, definitely contacting you or me. I mean, we certainly want them to contact us. But one of the easiest ways to go to 365 days of gratitudequotes.com. Again, it's 365 days of gratitudequotes.com. That's our website. And up there at the top, just click on reserve your page. And so there, it shows a sample page of the site. It shows some sample contributions of people who've written in the past. It shows, how much content it can be on your page. And so, I suggest go there, and grab that page. We're having an amazing offer right now. It's $500 for a page. Our sale price is $397. But you know what? If you put in, I'm going to do this for you, Natalie. I'm going to do this for you. If you put in Natalie, just NATALIE, you will receive over $200 off the sale
Wow.
price. So instead of $397, it will be $149, but that is for a limited time. We're
Nice.
working out of pages. So if you want to be a part of this wonderful community, and for some of us, get another book on that Amazon profile page.
Right.
The time to do it is now.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you, Robert. Thank you for joining me. And I look forward to reading that next book. I can't wait till it's all pieced together and
Oh
we
my
get it
goodness,
out
I
there.
can't either. It's going to be great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.